Hi there, Steven. So, Jess mentioned that she spoke to you earlier. You want to switch over to a custom mounting so that we set everything up for you, make sure this is all going to fit right. And then I think she also wants to have us double check sizing, just to be sure. So let me go through a couple pieces of this with you, make sure that I can explain this well, and then we'll confirm what you want to do, how you want us to do it, and we'll move forward accordingly, right? Okay, so just to kind of visualize things here, I'm at the gallery page at the site. I have clicked on Harley, and everything kind of comes up in a random order. So let's see what kind of initial good example we have. Okay, so here, this one is does not have the tour pack, and we kind of build out our own brackets. I'll get into that. This one has a quick release luggage rack on it. This is probably an off-brand, but more or less like the tour pack. Okay, so if you're looking at something like this, okay, we do this a lot. So the question here is, number one, if you're going to remove the top case, right, the trunk unit, okay, of course, we can't have the top case here for the cockpit. We need this footprint. So it's simply a question of if you want to remove the top case piece from the tour pack or the luggage rack itself. Some riders opt to let's go over here. Some riders opt to get a separate luggage rack so that the top case, the sort of tour pack stays by itself. It's just one piece. And generally, I think we find that the off brands, like on Amazon and stuff, for these, which are quite durable, they're quite solid. Something like $60-$70. So not terrible. No problem at all if you want to separate the trunk off and use this bracket. I can tell you absolutely from all the feedback from riders, riders rarely take off the cockpit, even when it's quick release and as simple as possible. Once you find out you can kind of do tail of the dragon or whatever with your dog, and there's no compromises. The fear is that I can ride down to Starbucks with my dog on the bike, but if I want to do a real ride, then the dog has to stay at home, and so I need to quick release everything back and forth. Not true. Okay, not at all. The dog's coming with you everywhere. So save a buck and just remove the trunk unit. We'll use the luggage rack. Okay. Now, what you're going to notice either way, if you use this one or if you get a separate one, they're pretty much in every case lower than the passenger seat, right? And so we need to do a riser or spacers to get the cockpit to the right level because we want the cockpit to be at that passenger seat level. Okay. So that's where you're seeing here. It's a little bit tough to see, but you're seeing that we've elevated it up. Okay, so if I kind of bring you here, I've got a few of our recent examples. What do we got? So this is a Road King, but it's the same idea because it's got that sort of tour pack luggage rack on there, and we've built essentially call it a phone book bracket, basically raising us up so that we're at this nice level with the passenger seat. Now here's the next element, okay? We cut away the base plate when it sits over the passenger seat. And the reason we do that is because then all of this weight, let's take another example, all of this weight here rests directly on the seat. Now the cushion is covering everything, but all of this weight is connected here, just like the human passenger would be seated here. And then the luggage rack, the tour pack, whatever, carries the load to the rear. Okay, so that's kind of the idea with this. It just gives us a better integration and a better setup so that, again, the idea here is no compromises. You're going to ride more comfortably with the dog on there than you will with a human passenger. Okay, even a big shepherd and things like that. And part of the way we do that is it's not a separate top case that just kind of sits here and is nice and big and heavy. It's sort of integrated into the bike with that load connected in. So that's what you're seeing here. This is essentially very similar to the setup that we'll make for you for your tour pack, or if you, like I say, if you get a separate luggage rack. Now, if for some reason you don't want to use that tour pack, you don't want to whatever, what you're seeing here is we build all kinds of brackets. And so that's all very doable. It's less convenient, of course, but we do this routinely. So if that's a direction you want to go in, you say, well, let's just build a bracket down to, down to the thing here, whatever, the quick release, all that, totally doable. It's just less and less common because most riders, want to use the luggage racks. They're so nice and easy. Now, what's the deal with 2UP plus pup? So I think you had spoken to Jess about something like one of these, okay? Generally, the way we'll do it is most cases, riders will have us do the normal 1UP setup, okay? And then a separate 2UP plus pup. Okay, so sometimes you're going to ride with just your dog. Sometimes you're going to ride with the dog and the spouse. If you got to choose, you're on your own, bud, because we know who's going to win. And there's no couples counseling included with this. So this is the sort of don't have to choose kind of approach to it. So in some few cases, riders will say, look, I'm only ever going to ride with my spouse and the dog, so I only want the 2UP position. Okay, not a problem. All right. More common, we do the both options for the riders, and then you see what you use most, or you switch between them. Okay. Now, if you're going to go between them, then the way we do it is we do the kind of 1UP position, the normal position, and then which one of these that I was just describing. And then we'll include for you an extra base plate, okay? And that extra base plate, we do not cut this away, okay? So it's going to use probably this same bracket that I described, but instead of positioning it here with part of it over the seat, it's all going to be positioned back here, which means we're moving the cockpit further back. And so, of course, this is what we want for the 1UP position, and the full complete base plate where this same bracket is bolted in up front moves the cockpit back for that 2UP position. So yes, you are in that sense moving between the two base plates, but that's an option. Now, what can even be done when the cockpit is in the 2UP position, well, then we don't need the spacer. We don't need the riser, right? Because it's perfectly fine that it's below the passenger seat, and we can just bolt it in just like this guy, and it sits just there. So what we're really talking about then is this is your 1UP setup, okay? Dialed in exactly what you want for that kind of aggressive solo riding with your co-pilot. And then we remove the top case here, and we bolt the cockpit in directly to the rack. It'll be a little bit lower, which is a nice thing, and there you go. No additional brackets needed. Okay, so that's essentially kind of two different mountings, so that you've got both options. If you only want the 1UP, let me know. If you only want the 2UP, let me know. If you want both options, let me know. Okay, now, last but not least, bear with me. Let's talk sizing, just to have you kind of double check us on Larry here, okay? Ideally, we want to do the tape outline exercise. So that's our size guide, okay? We want to visualize this because we want it to fit like a helmet. Of course, if it's too small, it's no good. If it's too big, it doesn't look as nice because you've got this tiny dog in a big carrier, and that doesn't look good. If it's too big, it doesn't provide the protection because the head rattles around inside the helmet, right? We want it to fit just right. And of course, when we have a 2UP position, we certainly don't want any extra cockpit, right? So let's, if you're able to, let's have you do this. It's very likely with a 45-pound dog that you're spot on for the intermediate. I don't see any particular issues, but I hate to just kind of go off of the weights or the breeds. This is where we get to put eyes on it and make sure that we like what we see. So the tape outline, what you would do, you can do it for the mini, the intermediate, the standard, you can do it for all or just one. But essentially you've got the interior dimensions here. Tape outline up against two walls, push us back and sort of into the walls as best as we can. We want to see just a little bit of space, but not much. We want to see approximately to the wrists, like that. And then we know we've got a nice fit, okay? So, yeah, let me know. I know there's a lot going on here. We're in contact throughout this whole thing. So anything that didn't make sense was probably my fault. Anything, if it was all a little too much, we can hop back on a call, whatever. But I wanted to lay that out to you so you've got it visually. You want to decide 1 up or 2 up or both. And then, ideally confirm the sizing and send over a photo or two. Once we know we kind of confirm that sizing, we know how you want to proceed as far as the mounting. We'll send over an invoice for the adjustment, and more importantly, we'll get going, you and I, to start designing this thing so we can get into the build.